Success. Media. Network. 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 Network.
This is your show.
Good day, Successors. I'm Antonio Holman, and welcome to the 4 Principles of Success, number 28, where I chat with successful people and entrepreneurs about how they enhance their businesses and lives in the areas of knowledge, health, wealth, and spirituality. Today, we're talking to Matt Miller. Matt is located in Stephenville, Texas, and is the host of the School Zone podcast and is the owner of a cutting-edge powerhouse of a vending and school fundraising company called School Spirit Vending. Before entering the private sector to work in both the medical device and advertising industries as a top performer, Matt spent the first 9 years of his career as an Air Force pilot, but had always dreamt of being his own boss. Fast forward to today, and School Spirit Vending's franchising program provides a proven and profitable business system for busy professionals and their families looking to develop secondary income streams with a limited commitment. Matt, are you ready to help our listeners prepare for success?
I'm ready, Antonio. I'll tell you what, man, our company's never been called a powerhouse before, so that's incredible. A lot to live up to today.
You're out there making it happen, man. I love it. All right, Matt, tell us a little bit more about your personal life before we really get into it all.
I'm a husband and a father of 3. Our 3 kids, 2 of which are in college today. My oldest son, Zane, is at Hillsdale College in Hillsdale, Michigan. My middle daughter is at Liberty University in Lynchburg, Virginia. And my youngest, Rebecca, is home as a sophomore, and we've got her a couple more years before she's out doing her own thing. I went to the Air Force Academy for college and was fortunate to be an Air Force pilot coming out of the academy. Upon graduation, spent 9 years flying in the Air Force, first as an instructor pilot and then as a C-5 transport pilot. The C-5 is the second largest airplane in the world, so it's huge. Anyway, back in 1998, when my commitment was up, I was ready to do some other things and get out into the work world and make a lot more money because I felt I could get paid for what I was really worth. Like you said, worked in the medical industry for about a year and a half and then transitioned to the advertising space. And one of the things I learned along the way, Antonio, is that with a publicly traded company especially, the rules are always changing and they're never changing in your favor. And there were some decisions made along the way that put my family into a pretty big bind financially. And I had no choice but to figure out how to make some money on the side. And to start with, I was collecting aluminum cans with my son, and we were cashing those in. We sold used books on Amazon and Alibris and Half.com for a couple of years. I had read Robert Kiyosaki's book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, though, and was looking for that whole idea of passive income that he talked about. Now, I couldn't own property because I couldn't even afford my own house, let alone rental property like Kiyosaki talks about. But a good buddy of mine from church one Sunday mentioned gumball machines that he and his young daughters had, and that got me thinking. And I started looking into vending because it was passive in nature, and of course the barrier to entry is much lower than real estate. And did some research over a month or two, read several books, and decided to get into bulk vending, which is candy, gumballs, toys, stickers, temporary tattoos, that type of thing. Because the service cycles are very, very long with bulk because the machines have a capacity to hold a lot of product. So it would allow me to put together a business that was very limited in time commitment. I was able to keep my career that was providing for my family and our basic needs, and then start putting this vending business together on the side. And bought my first used candy and gumball machine on eBay for about $36, I guess about 13 years ago now, and then set out starting to figure out how to get that machine put in a location in my local area. Knocked on a bunch of doors, found a karate studio locally that was willing to set up the machine. And normally the service cycle is between 4 to 6 to 8 weeks with a machine like that. After 2 weeks, Antonio, I was chomping at the bit, wondering if this whole vending thing really worked, because I'd never used these machines myself. So on a busy Thursday night, went by the karate studio, and kids everywhere for classes put the key in the machine, opened it up, and quarters spilled out all over the floor. And I was like, holy smokes, man, this thing actually works. So that was the beginning of, our vending business. I cash flowed this thing as I went because I didn't have any money, and slowly but surely added locations and equipment as I could afford to do so. About a year and a half later, I had about 125 locations on the north side of Houston where we lived at the time. And then 07 and 08 hit. The market tanked. People stopped going out to eat and frequenting a lot of the businesses where I had equipment. And right around that time, I had several young kids come knocking on my door selling me stuff for the local school fundraisers. And I thought that was odd because I didn't know the kids. Their parents weren't with them. So that they were essentially selling for the schools to strangers, and that made me uncomfortable with kids of comparable age. So I saw that as an opportunity to get some kids off the street, but also as an opportunity to set up shop in schools potentially, because that's where the kids are 5 days a week, 9 months out of the year. And of course, there wouldn't be as many fluctuations due to the economy doing business in a location like that. So we came up with the whole idea of custom Spirit stickers and sticker machines in schools shortly thereafter. And October 2007 is when we placed our first SSV school. Fast forward to today, we've got a franchise team of just shy of 100 families. We're in about 40 states and about 2,500 schools, and are just growing like a weed.
Man, that is an incredible story. Very incredible. Oh man, I'm sitting here smiling, listening to this. This is good. I love this. Now, how do you help? How does your company help families create, a stream of income for themselves using your company?
Well, what we have found is there's a lot of folks out there, Antonio, who want to own a business and either don't know how or would prefer just to start in a business that's already been proven and, shorten the distance between point A and B from the very beginning. So they invest in a company like ours, in a franchise, because we've already figured the system out. And all we have to do then is teach them the system. They have a protected territory of schools where they get to work in and out of in their local area. And in the process, it ends up being a win-win-win situation because they end up being able to help schools raise money in their area. Of course, they have the ability to develop a more passive income on the side as a family, with their kids having the ability to be involved and learning entrepreneurship along the way. And then, of course, because we took the time to figure this out over the last decade, we get some benefit from all the success that they have as well.
Yeah, franchise is the way to go. It's a pre-built blueprint of things to help you not fail. I really like that idea. Now, you host a podcast called the School Zone Podcast. What is it and what inspired you to create it?
We're in the school fundraising space, and there are a lot of amazing companies in that space that most people have never heard of before. And most of them advertise and or promote what they do in more traditional ways at trade shows or that type of thing. But there's a lot of people in the school realm that don't attend those type of events. And so my desire was to introduce and do deep dives with many of the companies that I met out and about working these shows with my company over the years, so that they would have an opportunity to further explain their passions, how they got started, what makes them special and unique in the marketplace, and allow PTA moms or administrators or whatever the opportunity to do a lot of their learning on the fly, with me doing most of the questioning, at least to begin with. So we started the podcast here, I guess it's a couple of years ago now. I think we're about 45 episodes in, if I remember right. It's an every other week podcast. And we've just had some amazing companies come on and, are really providing value for those educators, administrators, and volunteers who are looking to make a difference in their schools and maybe looking for some more unique ways to do it financially.
Now, Matt, tell us about your philosophy on how people should design their businesses to support their lives rather than creating a life that supports their business.
Wow. I mean, that's what Kiyosaki and Rich Dad Poor Dad completely talks about is, you can either let money control you or you can control time and money. And I got excited about the fact that with vending, I could continue to work my career like I did for years before I became a full-time entrepreneur. But those machines were out doing their thing day in and day out without me having to be there. And all it was a matter of me adding more and more and more machines over time to where I could ultimately have control over my own time and money. I think too many of us sell ourselves short. We still, in my opinion, live in the greatest country in the world with the most opportunity in the world. God has blessed this nation tremendously, and there aren't enough people taking advantage of the opportunities that there are out there today, whether it be to innovate with something completely new or whether it be to follow a proven system like with companies like ours and hundreds of other franchises out there.
These days, school budgets are shrinking smaller and smaller. Therefore, the students are suffering. How does your company interact with these schools to create a fundraising event or fundraising steps to make things better for schools?
Well, what's unique about our program, Antonio, is the fact that there's no volunteers involved for our program. The schools are used to doing essentially an event-based fundraising where they might do the cookie dough sale or the chocolate sale, or they might do a fun run or something like that. And those still have a place today for sure. But what the beauty of our program is that they sign on. We literally do all the work. We deliver the machine. We handle all the product rotation and servicing. They literally just get a check from us every month. So they've got the ability to then focus more of their attention on doing what is most important to them, which is educating our kids, instead of spending as much time and effort on fundraising. To give you an idea, it's simple things that many schools bring our program in for. I had one franchisee reached out the other day, shared that one of their schools were doing a field trip for one of the classes, and a couple of the kids couldn't afford to go because of the situation they were in at home. And our program paid for those kids to be able to attend, and go on that field trip with their classmates. I had another principal up in Grand Rapids, Michigan here about a year and a half ago. We were up talking with principals in that area, and a woman came up to me and got excited about the program. I said, "Ma'am, what would you do with the money at your school?" She said, "Lice kits." I said, "Say again?" She said, "Like head lice?" She said, "Our district has so much money coming in for technology, but all that money is earmarked for it and can't be used for anything else. And in the process, a lot of basic necessities that we need, like lice kits, there's no money for. So the first thing I would do with the money is to buy lice kits."
Man, that's incredible, because that's a basic thing that schools need. I mean, as I was a child, that was a basic thing that happened every year. But wow, these days they're struggling to get the basic necessities. It's incredible.
Yeah, I think priorities are out of whack in a lot of cases, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But that's a completely different issue.
Yeah, it is. What was your first entrepreneurial venture, and how old were you?
I started mowing lawns and shoveling sidewalks in the Chicago area back probably when I was 7 or 8. And so that I would say was my first. I also collected baseball cards and football cards for years and would sell those to friends and others. So I kind of dabbled in stuff, all my life. Mom and Dad were both teachers and were able to take care of our needs, but there wasn't ever really a whole lot of extra. And so we kind of had to do our own thing to allow us to do some extra along the way. And so I guess I jumped in with both feet early on because of that.
I've always felt that entrepreneur spirit all my life, and just now I'm really starting to dig into it. Of course, late bloomer me, of course, but that's a whole nother story as well.
That's okay, man. I didn't start SSV till I was 40, Antonio. So
look at that.
Here I am 50 today, and And, we finally, quote unquote, accomplished overnight success that everybody talks about, right?
Yeah. Everybody says that after 10 years of work, you're an overnight success.
Yeah.
Wow. That's inspiring. I like that. Now, life's always a roller coaster, and it's never just a beautiful bed of daisies. What was the time where you felt most unsuccessful in your life?
I would say it was right before I started in vending a year or two beforehand. I was in my corporate position in the advertising space, and some decisions that were made that, like I said, that put us in a deep, deep hole financially because of the way the comp plan was changed. And I went from being a hero to a zero overnight. The decisions cut my income in half the next year. And we got to the point where we had to go to consumer credit counseling service to get interest rates cut back to nothing so we could get our bills paid. I got turned down for a payday loan at one point for a couple $100s to pay a bill. You don't even need to have a credit rating for a payday loan, but you do have to have a bank statement from the previous month showing you didn't have any overdraft charges. And I had 3 overdrafts the month before. So here I am, quote unquote, America's finest, Air Force Academy grad, former pilot, and struggling just to keep a roof over our head. Talk about being low. But I knew it was the situation. I knew it wasn't me. And I knew because of some of the things I'd accomplished previously in my life that I could do pretty much anything and that I put my mind to it if I was willing to take the time and the effort to do it. And so we just got busy trying to figure it out and did whatever we could to make some extra money, did whatever we could to save some money, and to provide for our family. To give you an idea how bad it got at one point, I already mentioned my kids. Amy and the 3 kids all have birthdays in late August or September. So they're all 4 of them are packed within a month of each other. And we got in such a bad spot financially that we literally started using the little York peppermint patties for birthday cake. And we'd take a little birthday candle, put it in the middle, and that to this day is still birthday cake in our family, just as a continuous reminder of where we came from. Anyway, it was rough. It was rough, but I've been blessed with the ability to look long term and then be willing to work day after day after day, accomplishing small victories along the way to ultimately achieve whatever that goal is. So I got busy with my head down, avoiding and ignoring all the debtor calls and all that kind of stuff. Paid whatever bills I had to at the time to keep the electricity on and to be able to continue to do what I needed to do work-wise. And we just slowly but surely put things together and worked our way out of it.
Man, your story is so inspiring to me. It just goes to show that when you actually go towards something to try to make things in life happen, you will get a positive result as long as you put in the work. I love that.
Too many people, unfortunately, roll over in the fetal position or they blame their situation on somebody else. And I could have done that, but that wouldn't have helped matters. It's my life. I got to figure it out. And so, Amy and I, joined arms and we made it happen.
What do you feel was the one hardest thing for you to overcome in your business, but you've since conquered it?
I think the hardest thing, and this was just a couple of years ago, was the fact that I had accomplished the pinnacle of what I thought success was, which was walking away from my full-time job, being a full-time entrepreneur, and being able to come and go as I pleased. And in the process, life got stagnant. I got bored. I wasn't challenging myself. I was taking naps in the middle of the afternoon on a daily basis. And it's because I hadn't set goals big enough or had not adjusted my goals as I accomplished them. And one of the best decisions I made that helped me get out of that hole was I realized that the speed of the group is determined by the speed of the leader. And me being the leader of a group of business owners on our team at the time, I knew that if we were going to continue to move forward, I needed to move forward as a person and mentally as well. So I started attending conferences. I attended a couple of Seth Godin events. I attended a couple of Dave Ramsey events. And at one of those events, I ran into a guy by the name of Aaron Walker, who was Dave Ramsey's, one of his first advertising clients on the radio 20 years ago. And we just hit it off. And I left that event after spending almost a week off and on with Aaron thinking, man, I've got to find a way to get around that guy. 35 plus years of business experience, been there, done that, multimillionaire. You know, his circle of friends was the who's who of Tennessee and the Nashville area. And so I was back there a couple of months later. I gave him a call and said, hey, do you want to do lunch? And we did lunch. And at the time, he was just starting his company called View from the Top. And initially, he was just doing one-on-one coaching. And so I couldn't afford to be his coaching client immediately. It took me about 6 months to be able to afford it. But August of about 2.5 years ago, I made that step. And to have a man with the success that he's had pouring himself into my life on a weekly basis, calling my bluff, holding me accountable, forcing me to change the way I looked at the world and see things from his perspective, allowed me to change my thought process, allowed me to see where SSV could go with my leadership. And everything's changed since then. We started growing like a weed. Of course, we became a franchise here about 2 years ago. And since we became a franchise, our team has grown about 130% in size in just the last year and a half or so. And we are just growing like a weed right now because I got myself around some men like Aaron and others who have been able to help me see things differently and challenge my thought process along the way.
It's always great to have people like that around you. Yes. What was the most challenging client or client situation you've ever had, and how'd you resolve it?
Wow. I can't think of anything specifically off the top of my head. My memory is not real good, especially for negative stuff.
Which is probably very good.
Yeah. Over time, I don't hold grudges. I don't remember that type of thing for the most part. Mm-hmm. I just know over the years I've done all I could to empathize with people, to put them first in every situation. Zig Ziglar, there's a quote that says, you help enough other people get what they want and you'll be taken care of. And that was my philosophy in the advertising world. And why I had so much success there. And that's been my philosophy in the business world as well. And if I can help others accomplish their goals, dreams, and aspirations, then my families will, by design, be taken care of also. And so we put our eyes on them as much as possible.
What one thing in your business are you currently struggling to overcome?
It's probably my weight. I had a heart attack December 2nd of last year at 49 years old. And talk about a wake-up call. I was in Wisconsin at a little family reunion with my parents and siblings, and we ended up going to a Green Bay Packer game at Lambeau Field a couple days later, not knowing that I had one at the time until I got back home. But that was a wake-up call, and in the process, it's forced me to change my habits as far as eating, as far as exercise, and but also to be grateful for a second opportunity in life, and to not take the life that I've been blessed with for granted, and to make every day count, and to take better care of myself so that I can be there for my family and for our business team for decades to come.
Yeah, I bet that that feeling of a second chance has really energized you.
Yeah, it's been incredible, and just to get in a workout mode of 5 days a week, working out. I've got a personal trainer for a couple of those days, and then I go to cardiac rehab with with the folks that are in most cases significantly older than me, 3 days a week at 7 a.m. And it's been a real blessing to have that accountability and to work towards getting where I need to be.
Excellent. What do you feel is your one biggest business triumph to date?
I think it was that first test school in October of 2007, West Columbia Elementary down in West Columbia, Texas, southwest of Houston, to try the machine out and for the results just to be off the charts for us and to see that validated. I guess the second one would be 6 months later when we did our first school volunteer PTA event, and to have 10 schools, 10 PTA groups get excited about what we were doing and bring us in after that first test school. It just validated what we thought would happen, but didn't really know for sure. And of course, that allowed us to move forward with confidence in all that we've done since then.
What do you feel is your one biggest personal triumph?
Man, aside from my faith in God, I think it's raising 3 amazing kids and being married for almost 24 years to an incredible woman, my wife. We homeschool our kids. She has been their educator for the majority of their lives. And to have 2 kids that are just tearing it up in college today and have a real bright future, and have a third one that's just about done here in 2 years' time, and to know that we've taken that responsibility for their education successfully, and to see them thriving is just a huge blessing.
That is great. I love to hear that. Hang tight, Successors. We'll return to our conversation with Matt Miller, as well as quick success after a word from our sponsors. Are you a tense, tired, busy person who works day in and day out, who tends to lack the proper sleep and energy? Using modular supplements, health-related articles, recipes, life hacks, and more, Bellison can help. With quality as high as Bellison, you're buying from a company that cares about the environment and only uses premium vegan supplements. That's Bellison.com. Want to learn how to cook healthy, exercise, and meditate in just 30 minutes a day? Bellison.com. Want to feel healthy, energetic, and focused like me? Bellison.com. To receive a 10% discount at checkout, visit Bellison.com with the coupon code THE4POS. Visit Bellison.com now. That's BELISAN.com. Compassion and quality without compromise. Bellison.com. And we're back with podcaster and business owner Matt Miller. Now we get into the part of the show I like to call Quick Success, where you, Matt, can inspire the successors to enhance their lives in the areas of knowledge, health, wealth, and spirituality. Matt, what are you currently doing to enhance your knowledge?
Aside from regularly attending conferences, Antonio, I'm an avid reader. I've always got a book in my hand. And I'm also a part of a mastermind group, as well as being coached still to this day, so that I'm constantly in and around people that are going to help me learn new things, challenge my thought processes, and continue to better myself along the way.
What are you currently doing to enhance your health?
Like I mentioned, I work out 5 days a week. My diet is it's not a diet. The way I have changed my eating habits is a much more plant-based diet, about 1,600 or so calories a day. I was probably taking in twice that much at least on a daily basis beforehand. But in the process of exercise and eating more wisely, have lost a bunch of weight, gotten in better shape than I've been in probably since college or high school, and just feeling great.
Awesome. I always love to hear those health success stories. They're the greatest.
It's been my biggest challenge, because for years I'd be like, man, I can't, I go work out and I'll lose a little weight, and then then it'll stop, or I'll change the way I eat and I'll lose a little weight, then I'll stop. And once again, getting back to the coach thing, I hired a guy by the name of Jeff McMahon, who's a virtual trainer out of Cincinnati, Ohio. He actually does the virtual training for guys like Pat Flynn and John Lee Dumas. In fact, Pat Flynn introduced me to Jeff here a couple of years ago. And to have somebody like that to break it down for me and to help me understand weight loss and living a healthier life, just like Aaron has helped me with business, Jeff has helped me on the fitness and on the health side. And it's been a game changer, especially since he's in Cincinnati, and I'm here outside of Fort Worth in EIEIO.
Yeah, having the right people around you is definitely the formula for success. What are you currently doing to enhance your wealth?
We continue to grow SSV. Like I said, our franchise team has over doubled in the last 18 months or so, and we are doing testing in Canada as we speak. I anticipate by the end of the summer we'll be franchising there as well, and just really, really excited about that continued progression. Along the way, I also took interest in inspiring kids to read. And when I was growing up, I read comic books, and they were one of the things that really inspired me along the way to become a lifelong reader. And so I hired a couple of young guys here about 3 years ago that graduated from Baylor University, a guy by the name of Caleb Bollenbacher, and then Tyler Ellis. Caleb's a writer, Tyler's an illustrator. We came up with a series of comics called Marlin and Percy. They're a couple apes that want to be superheroes. And to date, we've written and published 8, soon to be 9 comics. We've written a kids' 200-page novel called Marlin and Percy Beginnings, and I see that as kind of the next step with what we have the ability to do with our schools as I work towards not just success in my life, but becoming more significant and having more of a positive impact on the people that we do business with every day.
Man, I love that because I was one of those comic book kids too, and I loved comics. I'm more on the creative side, and of course I love the stories, and I'm actually a pretty decent writer if I do say so myself, but I was more so in the drawing and that aspect of it.
Good for you, dude. I don't have any of that stuff. That's why Tyler and Caleb do their thing. I'm just a big picture guy, but it's been a blast, and to see the kids get excited about what we're doing, and parents as well, is really neat. Yeah.
Creativity rules the world, and a lot of people are still not understanding that one aspect.
No doubt.
What are you currently doing to enhance your spirituality?
Aside from regularly attending church, I actually have a good buddy of mine that we do Bible study together on a weekly basis. He's an accountability partner as well, and we're both, living life together and praying for and being able to help each other out. Just kind of be there for one another along the way. Really, really huge decision to do that here about a year ago. That's been mutually beneficial for the two of us, and I'm just looking forward to the direction we're heading and the growth that will continue to come from that.
When it comes to success, what do you feel is one of the best pieces of advice you've ever received?
It's a journey. It's not a destination. I figured that out when I, became a full-time entrepreneur and left my job. I realized real quickly how bored I got. And, yes, I quote unquote succeeded, but that wasn't ultimately what it was all about. That was just a step along the way. So getting excited about the journey, enjoying and learning the journey, I think is the most important part.
Are there any modern technologies or apps that help you achieve success?
There's a couple that I point out. One of them is called Streak.com, Streak. It's a plugin for Chrome for Google, and it's a CRM system that allows you to track, you name it, most people can utilize Streak for free, and it ties with your Gmail, it ties with your Google Drive, it ties with your Google Calendar, it ties all those things together. And one of the guys on our team introduced the team to that a year ago, and it's been a game changer. Another one's called Rev, R-E-V. It's an app for I think iPhones. It's a dictation app. So if you're trying to create content and are better at speaking than writing like I am, it's a lot easier to speak what I want to write. Rev will then dictate it or transcribe it for $1 a minute. And then, of course, you can edit and make any adjustments and have written content as well from the spoken word.
Man, that sounds awesome. I really like that dictation software. What new thing, book, activity, technology, or skill are you really excited to learn and dive into?
You know, right now it's all about selling books on Amazon. I've just started doing some writing. Of course, we've got our Marlon and Percy stuff that's on Amazon, as well as at marlonandpercy.com, and just figuring that world out as a publisher and as a bookseller, and learning all the ins and outs of Amazon and SEO and all those kind of things that I've never really had to mess with up to this point.
As far as our listeners achieving success in whatever it is that they're doing, what piece of advice can you give them?
It's a marathon, not a sprint. And you got to get in the game. You got to be willing to make small steps every single day and keep your head down towards the goal. There's no such thing as get rich quick. There's no such thing as overnight success. They don't exist except for in ads on the internet. And you got to be willing to put in your time and to pay whatever price God has in store for you to pay to get from where you are now to where you want to be. We've all got struggles. We've all got stuff we got to go through. So get excited about going through it so that you can see what's on the other side.
And Successors, Matt has a special exclusive offer for you. Matt, what is that?
Yeah, I wrote a short book, Antonio, called Live Your Dreams, the Top 10 Reasons Why You Need to Own a Vending Business. And for anybody who's interested in that, whether it be to find out more about vending in general or to begin a dialogue about the franchise and what we do with schools, they can go to ssvbusiness.com/the4POS for the 4 Principles of Success. And they can download that for free, and we can go from there.
All right, you guys heard that. Matt's free book, Live Your Dreams, the top 10 reasons why you should own a vending business. Go to ssvbusiness.com/the4POS. Matt, how can our listeners connect with you?
They can do that by downloading that ebook, or if they want to email me, Matt, M-A-T-T, at ssvbusiness.com, would be awesome.
Finally, Matt, what's your definition of success?
Control over time and money, and the ability to come and go as you please, to do the things that you really feel led and passionate about doing instead of doing what you have to do just to make a living.
All right, Successors, I hope you've enjoyed my conversation with Matt Miller. Please check out more successful free content like this at the4pos.com, as well as wherever you can find a podcast. Go ahead and rate and review. Thanks for listening, and prepare for success. Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Antonio. God bless you, man.
If you want to be more driven and more motivated in your life or business, go to the4pos.com/free book and grab a copy of my book, Indulge Your Affirmative Motivation Within. 25 motivations of personal development and life success. Get it now at the4pos.com/free book. Again, that's the4pos.com/free book.